This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring former FBI Special Agent and Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, Robin Dreeke.
When he did show up to court, he did show up and he was smiling, kind of joking around, looking jovial. I mean, it was enraging to watch, and I'm sure probably doing it for that purpose of wanting to get that rise out of people. I mean, is that, just kind of where this gets to at some point with some people, where the only pleasure they get is other people's pain? Because I can only imagine, obviously just bystanders looking at this and not having any personal connection to Harmony or that family whatsoever, but the people who did know of Harmony, as we know there wasn't a ton, and were closer there and missed a lot of signs. That's got to be utterly enraging, but it's all seems to be so he can get that little bit of joy out of it. Is that, why we're seeing that sort of behavior out of him?
Probably. And you hit another key phrase right there too, why he was doing it, for him. Yeah. And when you're in the state of mind, every single action you take is completely self-serving, no empathy towards other, no context, no desire to even have a context about your behaviors and the impact on others. Completely incapable of it. There's part of the addiction part of it is they start to go into massive survival mode, and not just because of the drugs, but because of the state that their lack of income and everything. I mean, they're living out of a car. Yeah. So all these things put you also not just in the throes of addiction, but now you're in throes of survival mode, which becomes extremely self-centered, extremely self-reliant, and resilient with only this amount of capacity of your brain working, which again, it makes you really self-centered. So all these things are extremely compounding and negative on everything in life and everyone around you in life. What
was your reaction to some of the other testimony that we saw this week from the uncle, from the CPS worker, and several others that talked about, seeing Harmony with a black eye, knowing that Adam beat, literally, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but it was very explicit to something to the effect of, I beat the shit out of her around the room. It was something really horrible. But it was people were aware of this more than I think a lot of us thought. She wasn't so much in this bubble where absolutely no one knew this little girl existed. They did. And some things were reported, but the system kind of lost track of her because, and if you're trying to hide somebody, and they're dead, you're not necessarily going to be giving the correct address or any address, which they didn't have. They had a car. The fact that they were able to go on for 3 years without anybody really truly noticing that she was gone, or for the system, she was in their system, to catch up with this, that's disturbing. And not surprising, but disturbing that it's like, whoa, well, we don't have the right address. Good luck, Harmony. I mean, that's kind of how our system works, is if we can't get to it at the very bare minimum, or unless somebody's really honest to look into this, it's like every child for themselves, it seems.
We've said it each week on this case. I'm right with you. The system totally failed her on this one. And I don't know the answer to this one. How do we fix a system? And here's at the root of, I think, the real challenge of fixing this system is you're asking, now granted, the people that are volunteering to be foster parents and do righteous things for children in the system are angels on earth. There's no doubt. But there's so few of them, because here's what you're consciously inviting into your life if you're doing it for those reasons. You're inviting unhealthy chaos. Because remember, you're not just going to be dealing with a child you're saving. You're going to be dealing with the Adam Landrys. You're going to be dealing with the mess of a system. And if the system hasn't put in protections and safeguards and a good process for the people volunteering to do this, the system's going to crumble, because people, remember, it goes back to the key motivations of all of us that we've talked about before too. We want to feel safe.
Yeah.
And if the system doesn't allow those that are volunteering to save children to feel safe, the system's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing.
That's what we really need to focus on.
That is a very big thing. I think that is missed sometimes. And yeah, I completely agree. People who are taking them in, angels on earth, we need more good people that are able and willing to do that. But yes, they do subject themselves then to these sort of characters. And if you have a volatile addict type character that views that you are in the wrong, you have my child, I want my child back. And it's not necessarily that this was so much the case, but you have that sort of thing. And it's not hard to figure out where someone is these days, or where someone lives, or get an address for somebody. You're a sitting duck for some of these people if they view the system as wronging them, and you're doing good, and they want. I mean, it can be very scary for people in those sort of situations, which then very much discourages people from raising their hand and going, I have a good home, I have the capability to do this, but you know what? I care about the well-being of my family too, and I don't want to subject myself to it. It's another piece of the broken puzzle of our system.
100%. And out of everything that we've covered over our time together, the two things and the two areas that I think hopefully people start paying more attention to start working on this problem, it's the system for children that are being abused. So that system, as well as kind of an potential offshoot and byproduct that we talked about last week also, is the serial rapist and who they target. Because it's basically the disenfranchised that start with harmony. I mean, So I think we did that last time, is it play that forward. If she had lived in this kind of household, what would eventually ended up with harmony?
Yeah.
She would have been under assault by society, not the healthy part of society, but through this horrible, dark place in our society that would have tried to subjugate her and abuse her in other ways. And so that is the massive thing that we need to work on. Yeah,
it's a sad story. I mean, all around you can play it out and go, let's say she stayed alive and that was the care. I mean, it would have been a life of trauma and abuse. And, honestly, I mean, it's a horrible thing, but what's better for someone who doesn't have a choice in that matter? Would it have been continuing to be subjugated to all that, or passing on? I mean, it's horrible. I mean, it's horrible to think about like that, like what is better in a situation, because there is no right or wrong answer to that. It's just some people are put into these scenarios with no choice of their own. And there's not a lot that we do to rescue people out of them, unfortunately. Even when the signs are there, we have to wait till it gets really bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm the glass half full on everything kind of guy.
Sure.
So in situations like this, all I can do is thank that beautiful soul, Harmony, for bringing light to this case, because it brings attention to massive issues, and hopefully by her pain, others will hopefully survive. And come through it, because that's the only justice that can be really done here, is that through her sacrifice, others might survive and live, hopefully.
Completely agree.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.